Welcome on in, guys. Three bold takes, and we have a little bit of breaking news. Now, part of the off season is discussing breaking news and things that happen, coaching wise, as well as players and transfers and recruiting classes and things like that. We're going to start the off season breaking news here with Kevin Steele at the University of Alabama is retiring from coaching. He is 65 years old. He started his coaching career in 1980 at Tennessee. This is his third stint at Alabama. He was Alabama's defensive coordinator. And under Kevin Steele, Alabama held opponents less than 19 points per game, quarterbacks to less than 200 yards passing. Did a phenomenal job in comparison to Pete Golding and what we had the year before and the year before that. So, very interesting here that he's choosing to retire after simply 1 year at Alabama. Interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this and then a possible we'll each say one possible replacement for him, and then we'll make a whole nother video with a full list. But Chase, let's hear from you first.
Yeah, so anybody that says this is surprising to them, I'm actually gonna say it's not. So if you were there last off, if you're an Alabama fan, an avid Alabama fan, you're gonna understand that last year Kevin Steele was never your plan A. He was your plan B. Your plan A was hoping that Jeremy Pruitt was going to get through the NCAA allegations scot-free a little bit and be able to join on staff really quick. You know, the rehabilitation program of Nick Saban, right? You didn't get that. The NCAA gave him a show cause of 6 years. And I think if he gets hired anywhere, he has a 1 year suspension automatically. That's what it is. So you then said, all right, let's go with somebody comfortable, but that can steady the ship. That's exactly what Kevin Steele did. If you look at this Alabama defense this year to last year, I think they had more talent last year, but they still had a good group of guys this year. But Kevin Steele righted the ship, got them to the playoffs where they should have been the entire time. But Pete Golding, he was a younger guy, kind of tried to throw some schemes out that didn't work with the personnel he had. That's why Alabama fans said, all right, pick him up, good riddance. You brought in Kevin Steele, who I think Quinn kind of talked about this early on in the season, and we all discussed, isn't your championship winning defensive coordinator, but man, he's going to get you really close, definitely with under the tutelage of Nick Saban and others. And then also, maybe Kevin Steele's a little bit of a puppet, and some other guys are working behind the scenes to really help that defense out under Charlie Strong, T. Rob, and some others. So I think Kevin Steele did an amazing job in this 1 year. He finally gets his retirement. Man, enjoy retirement. Go to the beach, have a pina colada, do the whole Dan Mullen thing, and tweet it out for us. Exciting to see that and him have a great season here. Also, curious to see the next guy that there might be. Personally, for me, who do you take? Um, if we're going to go ahead and do it, I'm personally going to go Jeremy Pruitt. I think you bring him on, let him sit the 1 year and just have him in the stands. I'm going to go ahead and go that route because I think that's the route that they should have went last year. Bring him on, let him sit the 1 year, at least let him be in the rooms with you to possibly give out stuff. Maybe he can't be on the sidelines, but I think that might be the best choice for your future, not necessarily this year. Quinn?
Yeah, as far as let's start with this. Kevin Steele retiring didn't surprise me at all. When they announced Kevin Steele was hired, I looked at the situation and I quickly learned that he was 1 year away from having retirement in the state of Alabama. And so what I saw with that hiring is we're just going to have a 1 year stopgap year, bring in a guy who's been all around because Kevin Steele has been all around when it comes to coaching. He's been at Tennessee, he's been at Auburn, he's been at Bama, he's been at Miami. I'm pretty sure he was at Georgia for a little bit. I know he was at Clemson for a little while. Like he's been all over the place. So you bring him in. This was just so he could retire from a place he's been and is familiar with. Um, and I think the original plan was to have a younger guy underneath him, and that didn't pan out. As far as this season, what I had said about him being I never said he wasn't a championship caliber defensive coordinator. He clearly is. My issue with Kevin Steele is that he plays such a hyper aggressive style of defense that he opens himself up for back-breaking, like well-designed pass route concepts to eat him alive, and that's what got them in the Texas game, and it's what got them in the Michigan game down the stretch in both of those games. As far as who's going to replace Kevin Steele, my top choice is Charlie Strong. He's been around the program for years. He has experience at the highest level of coaching in the college ranks. He knows the players. He knows the atmosphere around the program. I think he's just kind of a natural fit at D coordinator. You don't have to do a lot of deep searching. Obviously, there's other routes you could go, but Charlie Strong would be my top choice for replacing. I think when it comes to the Jeremy Pruitt thing, I think that's just a waste of a hire. You don't get to use him for a whole year. I also personally, and this is going to sound blasphemous, I don't think Jeremy Pruitt's all that. I know that 2016 defensively was like a really great year for Alabama. It was kind of a team that ate off turnovers, which is not something that you can easily reproduce. I also think it was a talent filled roster that was assembled by the defensive recruiter in football, which is Kirby Smart, paired with Nick Saban, who I think is the second best defensive recruiting talent in all of football. I kind of think Jeremy Pruitt's just people clamoring for something they're comfortable and familiar with instead of what makes the most logical sense for where the team sits at this moment.
I 100% agree with you there, Quinn, about Jeremy Pruitt and about Charlie Strong. He was actually going to be my number one hire as well. I did not know that Kevin Steele was 1 year away from retirement. But I will say this. If Jeremy Pruitt was the play, right, and this was part of a whole grand scheme of things, I think they would have hired him last year as like a linebackers assistant coach, let him serve his 1 year suspension, and then bring him on this year. But because they didn't do that, I don't see that being in the cards for Alabama. I want to bring out a name that might be a little controversial as far as Alabama fans go, and that's because he coached for our biggest rival in Auburn, and that's Gene Chizik. Right now, he's currently at North Carolina as their defensive coordinator. This was his first year.
Yeah, I think he got fired actually. So he's
Okay.
on he's on the block.
Well,
So
then,
good,
hey,
Fred.
to me, you go after him then. Why not? I personally think that North Carolina's defense this last year was better, than in years previous, and he still got fired. So that's kind of a little confusing to me. However, um, I don't hate the hire. I think Charlie Strong's number one, but Gene Chizik is number two to me. So those are just kind of, a couple names to watch out for. The Jeremy Pruitt thing, of course, Alabama fans are going to swarm that. And let's just shut up the whole Bill Belichick rumors. That's not happening. Um,
Throw
that would
Vrabel in
be,
there while we're at it. Like, I don't know where that's
Yeah.
coming from.
yeah, like there's no way that either of those guys are going to step down from the NFL to become a defensive coordinator in college. Now, maybe a head coach. We've seen that happen before, and not in Bill's case, but we have seen that happen before, but definitely not as a defensive coordinator. So, yeah, Kevin Steele out at Alabama as retiring. A little bit different than the video that we made about Pete Golding last year that he was leaving to go to Ole Miss. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That's kind of some breaking news that we had, and we will probably make a whole nother video with a lot longer list for hires as we hear rumors and things of that nature. But I appreciate you watching. Consider subscribing, sticking around, and we'll see you next time.